Imagine a guard dog that barks loudly but has no teeth. That's what most people call strong boundaries. A lot of noise, but very little protection. Boundaries actually begin not in your head. You're sitting in a cafe, small table, cozy, and then someone sits down next to you. Too close, like very close. You don't say anything, you don't make a scene. You lean back just a little. That lean back, that's a boundary. Not in your head, not in words, in micro movements, in subtle reactions, in your body adjusting before your brain even understands what's happening. That's why boundaries are so hard to explain, because they are not an idea first. They are an experience. So this video is about what boundaries actually are, how they feel in real life, how to recognize them while they're happening, and why most of us miss them. If boundaries were obvious, you wouldn't be watching this. You'd already know when to say no, how long to stay, when to leave, how much to give. You wouldn't be lying in bed at night replaying conversations and thinking, why did I agree to that? Boundaries are not a wall. They are a volume knob. A wall is fixed. It's either there or it isn't. Volume is adjustable. Some days the volume can be loud. You're open, social, available, engaged. Other days, the exact same noise feels unbearable. Same people, same words, different capacity. That doesn't mean anything is wrong. It means your boundary level changed, and nobody announces that change. Not your body, not your nervous system. You only notice when something suddenly feels off. This is why people struggle so much with boundaries. They expect them to be logical rules, when in reality, they are felt thresholds. You don't decide them first, you feel them first. Most boundaries are discovered retrospectively, after they've already been crossed. And that's not a failure, that's how boundaries work. You don't always know where the line is until your system reacts. The mistake is not noticing it late. The mistake is judging yourself instead of learning from it. A boundary being crossed usually feels very unglamorous. It's not a big dramatic emotion, it's subtle. A slight irritation, a tight chest, a clenched jaw, a sudden urge to check your phone or mentally leave the conversation. And then comes the critical moment. You override it. That override is where the boundary disappears. You say yes when your body said no. You stay when you're done. You listen when you're already empty. Most boundaries are not violated aggressively. They are politely surrendered. Here's the part people don't like hearing. Very often, nobody is crossing your boundary. You are. Not because you're weak, but because you're managing something else. Discomfort, awkwardness, the fear of disappointing someone, the fear of being seen as difficult or selfish. So you choose short-term social comfort over long-term inner comfort. And it works, briefly. Then emotions show up. And they're not random. They are incredibly precise. This is where emotions become a boundary map, a very practical one. Anger usually means something is happening right now that your system wants to stop. This is active boundary violation. Your body is saying, enough. Anger is not a character flaw, it's a braking system. Irritation or mild anger usually means the boundary is being touched, not crushed. You still have room to adjust early, change the topic, leave sooner, pause the interaction. Resentment usually means this has been happening repeatedly, and you keep allowing it. Resentment is anger that had to wait too long. It's what happens when boundaries are crossed politely, consistently, and quietly. And hurt, this one is important, usually means you already let the boundary be crossed. You didn't just miss it. You sacrificed it, often hoping for closeness, approval, or peace. Hurt is the emotional signal that says, I paid too much. This distinction matters a lot. If you feel anger, the boundary is being crossed now. If you feel hurt or resentment, the boundary was already crossed earlier, and you let it happen. And then there's numbness. That often means boundaries have been ignored for so long that your system stopped reacting loudly, not because nothing is wrong, but because reacting stopped helping. None of these emotions mean you're bad at boundaries. They mean your system is talking to you in different volumes. Here's a very real-life example. Someone asks you for a favor. You feel resistance instantly, that tiny pause inside. But your mouth says, sure. Later you feel irritated. Later you don't feel like replying to them. Later you feel strangely cold. Nothing mysterious happened. The boundary was crossed at the exact moment your body said no and your mouth said yes. So why do we keep doing this? Because it's conditioning, not ignorance. Most of us learned early that being easy keeps relationships smooth, that flexibility makes us lovable, that not taking up space avoids conflict. Our nervous system learned a simple formula: clarity equals risk, agreement equals safety. Another thing people almost never talk about: boundaries change throughout the day. In the morning, you might be fine with conversation. By evening, the same conversation feels exhausting. Same people, same topics, different capacity. Expecting boundaries to be fixed is like expecting hunger to never change. You don't argue with hunger, you respond to it. Now let's name the main types of boundaries. First, physical boundaries. Space, touch, proximity. Your personal bubble. Some days it's huge, some days it's tiny. Both are valid. Second, time boundaries. How long you stay, how available you are. The "I'll leave in an hour" boundary that quietly turns into 3 hours when you ignore yourself. Third, emotional boundaries. How much emotional weight you can carry. The difference between caring and becoming someone's emotional storage unit. Fourth, topic boundaries. What you're willing to discuss and what you're not. Politics at dinner, your private life at work, certain family conversations. Fifth, pace boundaries. How fast things move, relationships, decisions, intimacy. When things move faster than your system can handle, discomfort shows up quickly. All of these are felt first, not thought. And over time, something interesting happens. You begin forming an internal minimum standard list. Not rules for others, reference points for yourself. This tone is a no. This pressure is a no. This dynamic is a no. That list comes from experience, and how to consciously build and strengthen it, that's the next video. We'll talk about how to actually develop these boundaries without becoming rigid, cold, or disconnected. If this resonated, you're welcome to like, comment, or stay around Human Manual.